Okay, so as I was saying, this is now what I'm going to be working with today. Now, just in terms of the sketch, okay, I do try and work it so that I have the composition of what I'm trying to do in mind from the very beginning. Okay, so if you just think about basic composition, that kind of thing, where you guys all know what a rule of thirds is. Go away, don't want to print anything. There we go. Okay, so basically by starting off, I'll put in my third guides, and the focal point of the shot I'll have resting on one of these points. Okay, so in this case it is down this road into there, and basic one-point perspective gives us all our nice leading lines pointing directly towards that point. Okay, excuse me. So all the lines at the top of these cliffs and the road and whatever, they all lead directly to there where I want my audience to look. Okay, so you need to guide them by leading lines, all of that, to the focal point of the piece. Okay, so basic sketch, some mountains, not very detailed, literally just starting off with my focal point and drawing straight lines out and then just coloring in little bits and pieces. Some trees on top, basic dead tree over there, some rocks on the floor, some clouds in the background and some sun coming through that. Okay, so that's our goal for this one. So first of all, save that out as an image. So that we'll to okay, and then we're going to get straight into Blender. Okay, so that's the one from just now. So that's our goal. Okay, simple, straight, clean lines, no real detail, no textures, that kind of thing, unless you really want to. But the point is to get it quick. Okay, a basic light study. So what's the basic lighting feel of the piece, and the basic color. Okay, so trying to keep it nice and cold and you know, the kind of night cave, wet kind of feel. Okay, so we'll just save that and start a new one. Okay, I'm just going to open a new Blender so I can see all my tree just now. Yeah, somehow I managed to save this as the default scene. Whoops. Save stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to set my preferences quickly. So first of all, the pie menu. So that. I also want to put on just the node wrangler for now. Save. Change that. Add that as well as my element toolset. Okay, so that should do it. Just save that as well. So, okay, so now I'm ready to go. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is obviously get our camera and our reference image in. Okay, so if we make a new camera, I'm going to reset the rotation, and just for now, I'm just going to put it back a bit and move it slightly off the grid. I want to get my image in. Okay, so in our background images, add image, go look for our picture that we just drew. So hopefully this one works out nicely. I'm not really the best environment person, but I do enjoy it at least. Okay, so what we need to do first of all is set that to be only in our camera, so that if it wasn't, it would have been in all our orthographic views as well, which we don't want. So set it as the camera as well as being the front, drop that maybe a bit as well. Okay, also I want to change the aspect ratio of my camera to match my image. And I like a really wide kind of CinemaScope 239 kind of thing. So something like that, so it's nice and wide. Okay, I like that kind of format. It's really nicer for me than maybe make it more wide as well. I prefer that as opposed to just standard 16 by 9. Okay, so that is step one. Okay, pretty basic. Now, just in terms of where we go and put our camera, because we're building everything based on where our camera is. Okay, now we do want to make it as easy as possible for ourselves. So if we look at our picture, well, take this one for example first. where the cave is basically running down like that, right? And then our camera's off to one side, okay? We basically want to build it in a way that we don't have any skew things. So we want to build the cave pretty much straight. Same thing with here. We want to build this road pretty much straight, and then the camera is also just slightly off to the side. So we can look in our camera view and pretty much just try and get the grid lines of the floor to match up with the picture a little bit. So literally something just like that. Okay, so that we have it slightly rotated, we know it's going to match the scene more or less. So we can take it from there. Okay, cool. So anyway, how I basically start is literally just basic objects, and mostly planes to begin with. Okay, okay, so I'm going to start off with putting a floor plane in. Okay, so before we do that, I do want to set just the units of the scene upright. Okay, so if you take the units over there and set it to meters, it's going to give everything meters, which means that one of these blocks on the floor is a meter by meter. So if you're making a plane, for instance, it's going to be 2 by 2. Okay, which is perfect. Okay, just so we know and more or less have an idea of the scale that we're working on. Okay, just also want to move that. I do want to have a little camera view. Let's leave that as a little camera view over there. So over here we can just display. Where's display? When you're ready. Okay, I do want to just pull that off a little bit more to that way. Okay, something like that. Okay, so now we can literally go and start blocking this in. It's probably a little bit too close if I look at the scale of my scene based on my picture. So I just want to pull it a little bit further back. Okay, it's probably a little bit better that way. Still bearing. Okay, anyway, so let's start and just pull that out all the way down there. Okay, so we do need to adjust our camera a little bit because you see our horizon line is way off. Okay, so to do that, I also want to make it a bit wider. Okay, so something like that should be fine. Okay, so take that and just rotate this a little bit more. Okay, so it should basically be lowered to the ground as well. Okay, there we go. I'm happier with that. Okay, so now basic ground plane. I'm going to duplicate that and just rotate it up for the one cliff wall on this side. Okay, remember it's really not a... For now, it's still just a concept, so remember that. Okay, that's probably fine. It does match pretty much what I've done over there. Okay, however, mine does go a bit further down. Let's take it to about there. Okay, duplicate it for the other side. Now let's take it directly. Okay, so this one is a bit higher. Okay, so something like that should be fine for now. Okay, done. Great. Okay, so now just start playing with adding subdivisions here and there. So I do want to pull that out a little bit like that, maybe. Okay, and it's basic things now. It's really not going and adding in millions of edges. It's really trying to keep it very low poly. It's a concept, and we really just need to get it to a point where we can get to something presentable very quickly. Okay, then I'm going to add, basically just to get these like bits that stand out a little bit more, and to add some edge loops up this way. So if we're starting over here, maybe add one up there, add one over there. So just for these jagged bits that stick out a little bit more. There, perhaps. Okay, so those are going to be the bits that stand out. So there we can maybe just take that. And now I'm just small adjustments and that kind of thing for now. Okay. And then we can start playing with some more bigger structural changes. Again, the idea is also to try and stick to your concept, right? So if you do have certain things clearly visible in your concept drawing, that you try and really bring those out. Mostly so that if one day you start working somewhere and they give you a concept and say, do this, that you really can, okay? That it's really not an issue for you to, whoops, to follow a drawing or a design or whatever. People pay a lot of money for designers to come in, or concept artists to go and do things. And we have to be able to follow that through. Okay, so literally just trying to get a basic kind of jagged wall sticking out. Okay, and I don't want it all to be exactly uniform, so now I'm just going to go and, you can just use your sculpt tools, or just model it. I just want to offset it a bit, so that it's not all exactly the same. And I mean, if you really want to have some variation in the detail and like closer to the camera, we can maybe do something like that, some delete interface, or pull some of just that back. Not that it shows too much, but anyway, it's a nice idea. Okay, so what you can also do just to offset it or break it up a bit, you can, for instance, select a line like that. Let's just add another face to it here. And you can say, or if you select the points, you can say randomize, which will just, randomize the location of those a bit. Just gives you a little bit more detail, I suppose, or breaks up the continuousness of it. Okay, just want to pull these up so that they match my actual images peaks over there. Okay, so somewhat like that. Maybe add an extra loop here. Okay, so really just trying to get away from uniform shapes, ideally. Okay, now, the trick that I learned a while ago, which sometimes works, okay, just to add more detail, is if we go into our modifiers are great for this kind of thing because it really gives us a lot without really needing to have too much geometry. Just want to add an extra one. Okay, if we go into our modifiers, if you subdivide a surface, normally it just smooths it out, which is not what we want at all. Okay. However, if you swap it to simple, it just adds more geometry to it. Okay, which is pretty cool. So what we can do is we can add more geometry. Then not too much, just a bit. And then you can put a displacement on it, okay, which if you just set that to clouds or something, noise, something basic, okay, and that's set to whatever object, I suppose. We can, you know, add some more variation, a lot more if you want. You know, something like that. And the more you have over there, the more that happens. Okay. And then you can also then go and add a decimate modifier on top of that, and just bring that down, and it will go and give you like a more triangulated feel, which can work. Okay, it's not always going to work, but in some cases it may do what you want it to do. Okay, that should probably be in cycles. Okay, so anyway, so that's something that you guys can use to just, you know, break up the geometry a little bit more. You can also just make sure that these aren't any of them too long, I suppose. Don't know what the word is. Okay, so just adding a couple more here and there. Okay, so that could give us a nice look. I'm not sure if I really want to do it now with the wall itself, but just so that you know it is an option. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to then, so I don't have to do all of that again. I'm going to actually do the same, well, I'm going to duplicate it and put it on this side. Okay, so I rotate it rather than just scale it across so that the symmetry isn't, well, so that it's not symmetrical. Okay, so something like that. Needs to come a little bit more in, and remember this one's a bit bigger than the other one, so we can scale it up a little bit as well. Okay, so something like that should be kind of cool. Okay, anyway, so now I just want to put a bit of a, I don't have to, but I do want to just, yeah, stop that. That's the button I want to push. I want to flatten off the top of it a little bit, just a bit, and then extrude it backward so that we can put some trees on there as per our drawing. Okay, same thing with this side. Let's make that a bit bigger so you can see what to do. Let's leave that. Okay, so there is our low poly canyony bit, which is a good start, I think. So what we can start doing also is get our, well, start putting some lighting in. And first of all, some of the references or ideas that I do have, I've lost. I scrolled away from, oh, it's this one. Okay, so I particularly like this. Like what's happening over there. Okay, so there's like clouds. You don't clearly see a distinct sun, but there is a bit of a glow and a haze. I mean, similar to that as well. And then have like big billowy clouds or clouds like that. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm aiming for. Okay, so what we can do. Okay, we also need to at some point break up the floor, but let's just put a light source in so long. So first of all, we can just put a basic background color in. We can always go and change this and add a gradient to it or whatnot. And I do want a very like dusty, hot kind of tone. So let's just make that maybe 2. Let's make it 1 for now. And then wherever our Okay, so sun's been coming that way, so I'm just going to add a lamp and a sun. Okay, so something like that. Now, obviously, this is a sunlight, so it doesn't actually matter where you put it. Why isn't it doing anything? Okay, that size I'm going to put pretty much off. Okay, and what that'll do, hey, do something. Sorry, that's being weird. Just turn that off quickly. What is okay, there we go. Okay, so that's going to be our sun. So also probably 10's a bit rough, probably. I'm just going to turn off my picture here for a bit while we just tweak the lighting a little. Okay, so already not a bad start. I'm like already happy with that. I just quickly want to see what all of these things would do to it. Should we use them? It's also actually quite nice now that look at it like that. But I lose some of the detail though. Okay, either way, it's not too much of a big deal. I do like, well, you can see. Okay, I like the fact that it's not just clearly a grid. It's pretty much the only reason why I do it. Let's break it down a little bit more. Okay, anyway, so busy adjusting the light. So where's my light? Over there, solid. Okay, so now that's better. If I look at it like that, that's good. So what have I done there? 3 and 0.5. We'll put the same on for this one. Just 0.5 there. Okay, so I still have my sharp lines going up and down, and then just some jagged faces in between there, which is pretty cool, I must say, if I'm allowed to say so myself. Okay, so let's see, rotate the lights a little. Okay. Definitely more from that side. I don't mind this being darker, but I do want to see that. And the more we tilt it that way. Okay, so maybe something like that. And we can also then change that just to be a little bit warmer as well. Okay, and then back over here. You can also, instead of a color, you can connect that sky texture to it. Oh, it's off. Okay, and what that'll do is fake like a kind of skyline. Okay, and then if you play with, let's just hold that down. Just want to see, it doesn't display it here though, I think. Yeah, okay, so there it doesn't actually display if you turn the world background on. But if you play then with, you can click and drag on this sphere to change things. Could. Okay, so atmospheric turbidity, what do you think that does? That does something. So 10 makes it a little bit warmer, I expect. Just so there's not a dead straight horizon line, like something like that's even cool. Get it upside down, it'll be even better. So controlling this, I have no idea what it is that we're actually doing. But it's Pritham. Nah, it's not nice at all. ground albedo. I think that's like a shadow color or something. Okay, I mean, but something like that is kind of cool. I don't know what vectors, but anyway. Okay. Maybe drop it down a little bit so it's not so strong. So something like that is pretty cool for now for what we're trying to do. Okay, so far so good. I do just want to just go back to the sunlight and turn that. Like, I really don't need soft shadows particularly. You can put it in, but it's really not a requirement. Like sunsetish. Yeah. Can saturate the light a bit more as well. And also with these kind of concepts, I really think it is, I mean, like over exaggeration and that kind of thing does help, you know, to really try and set the tone and the mood of it. Okay, something like that maybe for now should be fine. Okay, just want to see over here. I don't want to wash it out too much, especially since we're going to lose a lot of detail there. You can also, I've not really gotten it to work nicely, but you can try use this ambient occlusion stuff if you lose a lot of detail. However, I've not really gotten it to work ever. Yeah, it doesn't really. I mean, if you get it to work, great. But anyway, for our purposes, it's not the end of the world. You don't, in Blender with, you only really need it for non-physically based render engines. I wouldn't say you need it at all anymore, particularly. Especially not with cycles. When we worked in softer modes, we needed it to. That's basically where like light doesn't get to like corners and crevices and gets a bit darker. So like right underneath there's a bit of a rim, so it just reinforces that. But cycles does it on its own pretty well in any case, so it's not really that big a deal. What I'm going to do, however, is I'm just going to add in some like gaps like that, which will help. Because that crevice isn't quite nice. Okay, so nice and broken up. Doesn't look too bad for rocks. Okay, now let's get back to our drawing and see what all we still need to add to this to make it look how we want it to look. Okay, so we still need our trees on top, we need clouds, and then we need to do something with the ground to make that a little bit more interesting. We need rocks on the floor over here, and probably our light source at the back, and that should get us quite far. Okay, so for the rocks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a icosphere and just drop its subdivision so it's quite low. And then I'm literally just going to try and hey, you guys are talking so nicely. Talk quietly if you're going to talk to each other, or just carry on. Hey, shut up. Okay, so I'm just tweaking the shape a bit to just get it not be perfectly anything. Okay, so a bit of a flat rock, and then we can make a bit more of a like a pointy kind of rock. Okay, so something like that should be fine for now. Okay, now we can just go and distribute them here and there. Okay, so like I've drawn it here, there's like rocks lying on the floor over there and over there, and we need that tree as well. So I'm going to make them nice and big. Try at least to make them nice and big. Okay, so just here and there, they can probably also stick into the rock surface a little bit, or the cliff surface. And that's really just to break up the floor line over there, so it doesn't look like it's so, I don't know, clean and perfect and whatever. Can also probably just subdivide that, and then just say randomize a bit as well. Especially if they're closer to the camera. Subdivide. Nice. These are still, by the way, just white, so if we were to give them a color, we will start having more detail to them as well. Okay, so really just so that there's something there, not just the floor. Okay. Okay, similarly we can take them and put them on the other side as well. Okay, just to break up that floor line a bit, which is more or less what I wanted. Okay, we can go and scatter pebbles and that kind of thing here just now as well. Okay, we can add our trees and stuff like small details now, and I'm actually just going to take this tree from here. Just make sure our copy attributes is on. Okay, so there's our tree. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just chop off. Am I? Well, I'm not going to chop it off, but I'm going to just duplicate these and then chop it off. So just duplicate them and then press P to select it, to separate it. And then on that, I'm going to just delete all of these, just so that we have that. Right? And then on that, just So I do want to do it with the other side as well at the same time. To get that P to chop it off. And also just delete all of those. Okay, and then I select those two. I'm going to merge those together so that all the trees are on the same thing. Okay, and then, where's my tree? Okay, so basically that's just a tree. It's rotated funny so that the actual rotations match up on this thing. So there was skew and then I just rotated to get it back to how it should be. But I just put a new particle system on, set it to hair. Okay, and then over here in render say object, and then just go and pick that thing. Trees. Okay, so we can make them a bit bigger, I think. Random scale always helps. Size, nice and big. And then also we can just turn off the actual render of the emitter object, so just in case. That's quite nice. That looks pretty cool actually. I want to give this the same material as that. Okay, so far not too bad. Sun a bit brighter maybe. Okay, that's a weird shadow. I wonder why that is. What we can do. You can also, while we're here, if you set it to advanced over there and go into velocity here, you can set a random rotation. Not that one. That one? There. A bit of a random rotation, but high. If you really want to set them off, but it works better for objects which don't need to be straight up. Tangent, maybe? No. That rotation? No. That rotation? No. Oh well, they're all going to be the same. I'm going to drop the mount of them a little bit though. Just a bit. Okay, not that many. Okay, so that's not too bad. Okay, so now things like our clouds, what I do for those, okay, so I want like billowy kind of clouds. So there are two things that I would do over here. Is either one is I'd just draw them in. So if it's like a mountain range, like in the other scene, what I would do is start off by merging all the points together so you only have one vertex, and then I'd go and extrude that to go and make a shape. Okay, whatever. So that's a cloud. Merge it up. Okay, and then just say full, so we get a solid shape. Okay, so that's how I did the mountains in that scene, those over there. Okay, here, I think with the clouds, I'm literally just going to make a bunch of spheres and stick them together to make these billow clouds. I don't know if I want to have those as well. We'll see how it goes. But for that, I'll just make some icospheres again. I like icospheres because they maintain the whole low poly idea. Even if you smooth them out, they're still nice and faceted. Okay, so these I'm going to put quite far back, first of all, to begin with. What sometimes may happen is you may need to set the clipping of your camera so that you don't only see the first 100 meters of your scene. That's now you can see 10 kilometers away. Okay. In your viewport you have clipping as well, which is separate, so that's at a kilometer. Okay, anyway, it's not clouds. I'm literally just going to make big billowy shapes like this. Okay, and then maybe smaller ones in between. And remember, it's just the concept, so we really don't have to do anything too ridiculous. I mean, as long as it conveys the message cloud, then you're good. So those are going to be my clouds. I'm going to use maybe figure it out and do this one. Okay, so something like that. Clouds. Okay, I'm going to give those just a nice white diffuse. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, then I'm also going to, it's not too bad, you can start giving them more fancy materials and that kind of stuff if you want to. They are throwing a rather mean shadow over there, which I don't like too much. So, I mean, we can, for our sake, probably just turn the shadow casting of them off. So they are all one object, so we can now, they are one object, right? No, they're not one object. Let's merge them all up. Okay, I'm just merging them together. So I can then do things like turn the shadow casting of it off. Okay, and then I'm going to put like a sun sphere in as well. That's nice. Big round sunset. Emission material. Okay, so I do now get some nice lighting on the clouds, which is pretty cool, I think. I do want to take my ground plane a little bit further as well. Just that. Okay, so I'm happy with that for now. I like the fact that that really illuminates the clouds a bit, which looks pretty cool. Okay, the floor is still a bit of a sore point. What I can do with that is literally what I did over there with the mountains as well. So we can take it, just leave that there. Give it a whole bunch of subdivisions that way. And then again, just say subdivision surface, simple. Give it a displacement. We can use the same material as the other one, which is just clouds. And then give that a excuse me, decimate and just pull that down to try and just break it up a little bit more. So that looks like. That's better, I think. If we apply all of those, that's what that looks like. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so we can leave that as that is. That doesn't need to be any different. Then I do want to put like little pebbles and stuff on the floor, especially on the sides over here. Okay, so to do that, I'm literally just going to take one of these. Okay, so that can be a pebble. Let's just make it a new one actually. Mesh, sphere. What time does this class end? At 12:30. Okay, let's just leave some time. Let's just shake it up a bit. Okay, there we go, that's fine for a pebble. So I'm just going to make like 2 or 3 of those. So just the shape really, it doesn't have to be very detailed. Okay, that should be fine. Just going to apply their scale. Okay, put them in a group. So I'm going to say group, we'll call it pebbles. Not pebbles. Okay, and then the same thing on the floor as what we did with the trees. So we go into there and say new. Set it to hair. Okay, now what we should do is, that's bizarre. You need to set it to use the modifier stack, otherwise it's going to ignore all your modifiers. And then go down to group, select pebbles. Okay, so now I've got pebbles on it. Size random all the way. Maybe put some more in there, so 2000-ish. Okay, see what that looks like. Okay, now they're going to be everywhere, and I don't want them to be everywhere. So I'm going to paint a weight map for it. Okay, currently they are also all facing the same way. Now, if you make a new particle system, you're going to have the size and random value over there under the render tab. Okay, if you click that advanced button, they're going to go away. Okay, so render tab, they go away. But once you've clicked them, you can then go and change that random value, which will then rotate the, so that'll be the size. One of these will then rotate them all a little bit differently, which is kind of cool too. See, so that does spin them a little bit as well. Okay, anyway, so what I want to do with that is I'm going to make a weight map. So just going to go here and say new vertex group, pebbles. Okay, and then I'm just going to paint them over here. That's a bit much. What we may have to do is apply that. Okay, so now weight paint. Just there. So ideally that's wherever the wagons and people and whatever have ridden through, they would have pushed the rocks out to the side. Okay, then back over here we can go down to our vertex groups and say density pebbles, and then it will only put them where you've painted them. So now we can go give them a bit more as well, so we need 10,000. Okay, which will just help break that up a little bit. Still need to put in our tree as well. I do want to give them a different material, so I'm just going to say new, not that. That would be a nightmare. Material, new. I'm going to make them a little bit darker. Okay, so now let's just play with that color until we have something which fits as well. Because I want this for actually all the rocks. and these big ones as well. No, that's a bit better. Okay, I don't want these over there, so I'm literally going to white paint over here and just paint with 0 weight, just to get rid of those. Maybe add some there. Okay, so you see we are wasting a lot of them. So I'm just going to erase those, just so we don't sit with more of them than we need. And also, as you, like, if you look at it like that, you can see they're all very evenly distributed. We can, I think, go there. It's going to be more random, which is what we want. Okay, that's getting there. It's pretty cool, actually. I do have a tree to put in, however, I don't really feel like modeling a tree right now, but we do have time. And then we can maybe add like dead branches or something like that. Okay, then the other thing that I added in the other scene, which works quite nicely, is if you add a cube and make it big, very big. That button. As in very, very big. Don't know if you should go all the way back, but at least to there. Okay, and just make it so that you can see it. So set it to wire. I don't think that was selected. There we go. Okay. And then we can give this like a kind of fog. There we go. So something like that. We can make that one bigger. Smaller perhaps. Just what I did in the previous scene. It does just help, it tweaks it just a little bit to make it a little bit nicer. Okay, so, and to do that, we need to give it a fancy material, which kind of looks like this. So we need to add the two volume scatter and the volume absorption shaders together. Volume shader, so add those two together. And what that'll do is it'll make a nice bloom around the sun as well, and all the overexposed bits. So if we first just look at that, it's going to do nothing. Okay, so that's why. Firstly, it must be in the volume, not in the surface. Okay. So that's what that's doing currently. So the density of it, we do need to set down a lot. Okay. And I just want to check my settings in the other scene quickly, just to see exactly how I did it over here. A much smaller one just around the cave, but let's see. Okay, so that's at 0.1 and that's at 0.01. Okay, so that's at 0.1. Let's see what that does. And for me, the easiest way to see what it actually does is by looking in the actual 3D scene like that, than rendering in your camera. Okay, so there we can see what it's doing. And the light of your sunlight will control the color of this pretty much. Okay. So just to show you what each of them do on their own, that one does that, whatever that is. There's a nice tutorial on Creative Shrimp about this particularly, which does really help. Okay, so now you see the actual sunlight is causing that bloom, which we didn't have just now, so we're going to have to figure out how to get rid of that. Let's turn that off. Yeah, okay. which that'll do as well. Um, Ideally, we want a nice little bloom around there. Let's just take this drawing off as well. I'm done with that. Perhaps. So yeah, now we start getting like a really nice kind of mood and atmosphere of it. It starts feeling very, I don't know, cool. I like this kind of thing. Very dusty. But our sun's completely gone. So let's see. So that's on one, and then it does that up top there, which we don't really want. Unless we swap our sun for that light, but then we're going to have to change the way our light's rotated. It's weird that that's there. Let's see if that moves it at all. This volume does just render forever. So for stills it works really nicely because you only have to render it once. But in like actual scenes it's quite an issue. Just want to check, I don't think my camera is inside the volume. Ha, it's not. Huh? It's not a problem, it's just going to look different. Let's see what happens if we do this. Well, the bigger this box is, also the slower it renders. Okay, so that's off, and that does that. Absorption, not that. It really I just want a subtle kind of a effect, which now, probably because I've gone and moved my light too much. I just want to get my light back. It's weird that it's only shining there. But other than that, I think it's looking pretty cool. I think that also shouldn't cast shadows. That's better. Okay, losing a lot of detail there though, so let's see why. There we go, that's more or less where we were just now. Just something like that. So this can be very subtle. Or less, something like that is great. Okay, well we can also maybe do, no, that's not going to make sense. Not bad. As a quick concept, I think it's, yeah. I'm going to see if I can quickly just add in the tree that I wanted. I think that'll give us a little bit of detail that I'm missing. Something like that. Okay, let's see. I also just want to turn this off. So, where's the tree that I drew? Okay, so if I add in just a cube. Okay, I just want a very basic, let's actually start with the cylinder. Okay, so literally, I mean, really, this isn't going to be the world's most advanced tree. And I'm going to just stick sticks into it and out of it just to get a pretty much basic shape. Okay, so I literally just selected the edge loop and I just separated it, so I broke it off so that I can do this. So I'm going to rotate all the bits and pieces on their own now. Yeah, I just need a tweak.
First question, why is it that when I want to use the Boolean modifier, doesn't do the same action all the time? It's not consistent. Like if I use difference on two objects, then it's not a difference between them. If I use difference on like two different objects, sometimes I don't do the exact same thing.
No idea. Booleans aren't the best modeling. They're not the best modeling operators or modifiers. They're pretty tricky actually. They don't. Okay, that is going to be as complicated as my tree is going to get. Now, you do notice that some of them are facing the wrong way, so you just need to select everything and press Control N to recalculate the normals. If that doesn't work, then you need to go and select the individual bits which are wrong, and just say Control F and say flip normals.
Control K.
Control F.
Control A.
Flip normals. That's all your face options. Okay, I'm happy with that as a tree. Still not take off. Old broken hanging tree. You know, just the idea. Okay, that I'm happy with that. Okay, so as concepts go, it's a concept. It clearly, well, communicates what it is that you intend to do. You know, the color's there, the lighting's there. And then you can go and make it as detailed as you want later. Any questions? Hmm? I don't understand what you mean like this. Yeah, no, it needs to be a proper rendered concept. If you can also then go and paint it in Photoshop if you're comfortable painting in Photoshop. But it does need to be rendered, it doesn't need to have lighting, it doesn't need to have color. It needs to be like a concept piece. Okay. So color, line, shape. lighting.
for
Week 9.
week 9.
Yeah, I don't see you guys next week. It's contact week, whatever that means. So I only see you guys again in week 8. For the last time. I don't know what next week we're going to use. All that I know is I can stay home.
That you said,
Tuesday is public holiday next week.
yes. Yeah. And for all week is contact.
It's Workers' Day.
But it doesn't be like some lectures on there or we're not doing whatever or what. You have to make a contact.
You have to make a one-on-one session with Sean.
So,
Okay, it's supposed to be submitted already.
really